All right. Welcome, everybody. Or nobody. Maybe nobody's here. Anyways, I wanted to do something that I haven't done in maybe ever. I don't know how if I'll be able to do it now, but what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to go through Titan. Let's launch this too, or let's go live over here as well. All right, so we are up and running. Okay, so what I'm going to try to do. By the way, my name is Gary Shipman. Welcome to the show. I don't do a lot of live streams on YouTube, but I am doing one now. Let's see if I can adjust this. Is that the right way? Yeah. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I want to go over kind of an exhaustive. I don't know if it's exhaustive or not, but we're going to do the best we can. Um, did it start? What's going on? Am I in the wrong stream? Hold on. I might be on the wrong one. Let's go to this one. Alright, there it is. We'll mute that. Anyways, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the Titan saga, the story. Maybe there'll be spoilers. I don't know how exhaustive it'll be. I'm going to be using the artist editions that I have. So this collects 3 issues into one hardcover volume, but it also has some material, supplementary material in the back, like the making of kind of stuff. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through. This is my book, Titan, Mouse, and Might. And I started it some years ago. Let's see if there's a date in here that can give us a hint at how long ago. It looks like 2019 this was published. And so I wanted to go through this. Got my glasses on. This is really hard because I have a lot of things in my way. Let me move this so my arm can reach under there. Okay. Anyway, so we're looking at. Let me get this cord out of the way. Okay. Still in the way. Oh my goodness. Unprepared. Okay. So here it is. This is Titan, Mouse and Might. This is Volume 1, Deluxe Edition. If I said Artist Edition, I'm sorry. I do have an Artist Edition as well, which is a larger format than this. It's actually almost original art size, I guess you could say. But anyways, if you want to know about Titan, you come to the right place. I am the creator and the artist and the writer of Titan, Mouse and Might. Alright, so this is the first page. So, back in probably 2018 or so, I was on a show called Drawn and Quartered that Mike Miller puts on YouTube. You can go check it out. And like once a week, he would get together with a bunch of professionals, and he does like an art show or an art contest where they have a subject matter, and then all the artists draw and try to do the best job they can on a particular character. And I think this particular night, I don't know what it was. Maybe they were drawing Batman. I don't know what they were doing. I didn't want to draw what they were asking to draw, so I just did a little mouse, like a chibi little mouse character, that looked like Batman. And that would be this guy right here. It wasn't this drawing, but this was where the visual, at least for him, came from. Let me save the page here, if I can. Do I have something to save the page? Okay, we'll save the page. Originally, we'll say, I don't know, 30 years ago, I started working on this comic book project. So here's a collection of all of them. This is more of a manga side. I don't even know. This is not as big as a comic book, I don't think, but it's not as small as a manga, but it's a little bit more digest. I'm thinking about doing Titan this way too, in a maybe a paperback collection of all of them. So, anyways, back 30 years ago, I did this thing, Packens Land, and one of the first pages, or the intro page, it wasn't the first page that I did, but it was the intro to Paul's Adventure. I drew this as the opening page. And on the bookshelf, I don't know how well you can see that or not, but on the bookshelf here, he's reaching for Paul's Adventure. But I have other books that I wrote names in that were ideas for other stories that I wanted to do in this same world. And the first one up here is called Mouse of Might. It wasn't called Titan, mind you, but it was just Mouse of Might. Another one's called Banana Famine. One over here is called Forgotten Dreams, and then one over here is Tavita, and one here is Quest for Kings. But he's reaching for Paul's Adventure. So I always had an idea for a thing called Mouse of Might back, and so here's some of the Packens Land stuff. And so Titan comes from this world of Packens Land. Anyways, so that's that. Flash forward 30 years, and I was on Drawn and Quartered, and Doug Tenaple, he wrote the foreword to the first first deluxe edition, which I appreciate. But anyways, he was one of the ones that was on the show that night, and he said, "Gary, you got to do that. That's got to be your next thing." So with the encouragement, everybody there, all the guys, I went forward with Titan Mouse of Might, Chapter 1. And so basically the story is, it was going to be, at first, I was going to make it like a comedy. I was going to make it funny. And so this was some of the first stuff I wrote, and it was in jest, So it says, in this world where hope is little, only a spark of truth remains. Excuse me. A hero must rise from the smallest of places. There he is. He's kind of small. Justice has a name, and you're looking at it. The might of evil must fall before Titan. And so that was my first thing, and it was sort of like a joke, kind of to make it kind of a parody, of Batman and a mouse and all this stuff. But then as I started writing it, I drew the picture and all that stuff. And as I started doing it, it had this serious tone to it. So this was the most, I think, cheeky, if you want to even call it that. It reads, you can read it serious, but when I was writing it in jest. Down here we have a little scripture verse that says, "Fret not thyself because of evildoers, neither be thou envious against the workers of iniquity, for they shall soon be cut down like the grass, and wither as the green herb." And that's Psalm 37, 1 through 2. So that was the opening page for Titan. Then I did a prelude, or a prologue. And this is in Packens Land. So that book that I just showed you. We go back to that world of Packens Land, and this is the main antagonist, the villain. His name is Rasha, and he has his minions. He has a gorilla and a smaller monkey, and he's doing some sort of an experiment or exploring a cave where he's trying to find a portal to the world of men. And they've run into a bit of a problem because they can't get inside there. They're too big. And so he says to use the mice to get into the crevices to reach this anomaly, they can activate a portal to go into the world of men. And then it says, see Packens Land omnibus here at the bottom. Maybe you can see that. I'll try to. There it is. Anyways, so he basically he's telling them what to do. Go get the mice and use them because they're just mice and who cares. So then we flash to present day, and then Titan is on a, I don't know, assigned to some facility called the Ryan Research Center, and so he's like right in the middle of an adventure, and as things unfold, you realize he's in the world of man, and he's doing something to free somebody. He's on a mission. So he pulls out. He has little gadgets and stuff like Batman, but he also has extraordinary strength, which comes out later. And he also has a kryptonite type situation, which is post-traumatic stress disorder, which whenever that hits him, he becomes weak. So he's using like a thermo device that can sense if there's any people inside the building, and there's not. At least he can see little ones, maybe like animals, but no human size. And then he says, so it's time for him to get into the building. So it's nighttime, and he has a little what is that called? Bobbin or something that goes in a sewing machine, and he whips out his little line and fires. And he zips over to the building in a dramatic form. So all of this here, probably I was still on the fence of whether or not this was going to be kind of a jest, a funny comical book. But as I would go, it got more serious. So I thought, let's just go with this and let's treat it like it's serious. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask. I'm not sure if anybody's even watching on YouTube. Let me turn on Jarvis. I'll turn on Jarvis for a bit and see how that works. If it interferes, I'll shut it down. Okay, where's everything? All right. So Jarvis is on. Oh, I see that we have someone watching. Welcome, Arlene. Good to see you.
Hi, Jarvis.
Exactly. Hi, Jarvis. So anyways, he gets onto the building here. I'll try to keep it on screen. Runs across the rooftop. Climbs in through a vent, and in he goes. And then he's in the darkness, and then he hears a hum, and the hum triggers him into his post-traumatic stress. So I used like the sound effect of the M, as you can see here, as panels. So they grow from here, and then I make panels out of them, and it flashes back to how did he get to the land of men. And so, whoops, I'm off camera. I'm going to have to adjust this down a little bit. How's that? Maybe that's better. All right, so he's in the land of men, but this is showing how he got here. So they sent the mice into the caves because the gorillas and monkeys couldn't fit, and they had like these devices, and they were chipping away at something, trying to reach this anomaly that will access a portal to the world
Hey,
of men.
Gary at Gary Shipman Art Heart.
Hello, Tina. Welcome. So now they're having an argument. They realize that the mice have kind of taken over, and they need to shut down this the equipment, but they've lost the power or the ability to do that, and so they don't know how that happened.
AZ Heart.
And I'm gonna have to turn Jarvis off. Titan didn't stop at their request, and kabalamo, an explosion happens.
We miss seeing you over at Dead A's.
All right. So then this is the explosion that sends Titan into the world of men, and it obliterates all the other mice that are there as well. But something happens to him in transport. He's basically just shredded, put back together maybe, and he has, down here we have like these mice that are crying out like, save us, we die, and all this stuff, because they all get basically incinerated. It shows some flashbacks of his childhood with the dark flyers that are in Packens Land. That will be revealed later on in the story. Well, that'll be fleshed out a bit more. So anyways, he goes hurtling through the portal to the world of men, crash lands here, bam, boom, and then he's toast right there. And then now we're back inside the building facility. He comes to himself, realizes that he was triggered, and he's starting to get his strength back and all that jazz. Anyways, so now he starts running towards where he's supposed to go. He has to get through a fan. He crunches it easily and then runs through that part. And then, are you going to continue this series? Yes, I am. I have a campaign going right now on Indiegogo for issue number 10. It's a new issue. I have 9 issues that are done. If anybody's interested in those, I think you can find them in my bin on Whatnot, but also on my website, GaryShipmanArt.com. But you can also find them on the campaign page on Indiegogo. It's called Titan Mouse of Might 10, and it is running right now. I have this camera right here showing my face on YouTube, but the book's, I notice now, the book is blocking my face. Everything else is blocking my face too. I have a camera, microphone. Okay. So anyways, he's inside the ventilation here, and he's checking the thickness. He has a device to cut through, like weld, pops the hole out, jumps across to another ventilation thing, grabs hold down here, and then the humming starts coming back again. And then he's trying to get a grip of reality, but it's too late, and he thinks of Malcolm, his friend. And then we have a flashback of Titan and Malcolm before the explosion happens, and there's, talking there. Anyways, Malcolm's trying to get Titan to stop, but Titan is like, no, I'm getting out of here, because the mice have been prisoners to the dark flyers and the gorillas and monkeys and stuff like that, and they use them as pawns. So anyways, Malcolm is saying, you gotta stop, and he's like, no, I'm not gonna stop. And then Malcolm transforms. This is all part of a hallucination. He transforms into a monster, and he says, you're going to kill us all. And this is what Titan lives with. He thinks he killed all of his people. And so now he comes to himself again, and he's broke down, and he's like, what have I done? Oh no. All that. This is one of my favorite pages from issue number 1. And I think that went to somebody who it was their favorite page too, and I was really happy. Had a talk with the person who got this page, and I'm happy that they got it. It's like it meant something to them. So I'm happy. Okay, so then he hears a voice talking to him. So he's like not quite back. He's in and out. The voice is talking to him, trying to encourage him, and he's like, "What's going on?" And then he finally realizes, "Okay, I got a grip now. I'm back." And so now that was the end of issue number 1 or chapter number 1. And he's like, "Okay, I'm back. I got a grip. Now I've got to go stop the Ryan Research Center because they're doing experiments and stuff like that on animals and things like that. They're also trying to, they got other nefarious things." So that brings us to chapter 2 of Titan Mouse and Might. Okay, so if anybody wants to get these, they are available on the campaign right now. Thank you. Someone said great inking. Appreciate that. Hey, Grant is here on YouTube. So we're doing a multicast here again tonight. So I want to dive into, I don't know, Grant or Arlene, if you're able to get a link to Titan Mouse and Mite campaign. Do you know where that's at? Haven't asked you guys to do this kind of stuff in a long time. If you could drop that into the chat on YouTube, that would be very helpful. It might be in the description, actually. And then I'll drop it here on Whatnot. Anyways, I think it already is on Whatnot. Yeah. So if you go to the show notes, or there's I did put it in a. I would just go to the show notes on Whatnot. If anybody has any questions, let me know. Okay, chapter 2. So I'm flipping through it. We got nine of these to go through. Okay, guys. And I've never done this. I've never done like a flip through and talked about things. I don't want to just talk about the story. I also want to talk about the art. I want to talk about different things. So, like the first chapter, I have sort of that same building thing happening, but it's a different kind of drawing, and we have the title Titan kind of woven into the city back there, and then we have that same line. The might of evil must fall before Titan. And then we have, this is the similar wording, like in this world where hope is little, only a spark of truth remains, a hero must rise from the smallest of places. Justice has a name, and you're looking at it. That's right, people. Titan. And then I'm not sure if I redrew this or not for the cover, but it may be that I just used this for the cover of one of the covers of like the color edition or something like that. Anyways, we have another prologue that we go into, and this is like back in, well, we have a little of everything here. We have Packens Land and the World of Men. So now we have, like, this is sweaty Titan without his mask on, and he's remembering things. So we're no longer where it ended in the thing. So this is a prologue. So basically, flashback of how they remembering how he got here. It was hard and all that stuff, and they were in the caves and stuff. And he's sweating again, and then how the explosions sent him to the world of men, and he's still sweaty. And he lost his friends, his family, and Elva. And there's him and Elva. He lost everything. So now he's just a little pathetic little mouse with nothing. And then he overhears some mice talking. So now he's in the world of men, but this is a prologue to what is going on. It's not current time. So he overhears people or mice talking, and they're saying, we shouldn't have brought him here. He's, bad news, and we're going to get caught by the Ryan Research Center and stuff like that. And then they even said that one of them already got caught, and what are they going to do? And then Titan overheard that, and he said, like I'm gonna go get. It was like a mother mouse, their child, and his name was Asher, and he's like, where's my suit? I'm going to go get Asher, but he's like totally wrecked, and we'll get into how he's wrecked, why he's wrecked, later. But then we go back to the research center. Now this is why he's there, because of what we just saw, and he's in the ventilations up in the ceiling right there, looking down. He comes down out of the vent, drops down to the ground, and he sees Asher, and he doesn't look good. And then he's just going to make sure that there's nothing around, that it's all safe. But he's here to rescue Asher. This is also one of my favorite pages. I love how that came out. So also this story was a finalist in the Heroic Awards for Best Story last year. So anyways, he runs to Asher to see if he's alive or whatever. Asher, and he kind of wakes up and he's like, yeah. And then he basically is saying, like, it's a trap. They're trying to catch you. They caught Asher because they wanted to get Titan. And then he's all, look out, Titan. And then we have the first encounter with this cat that's been abused by the Ryan Research Center, but apparently he's gotten loose. So he's a cat that was one of their experiments gone wrong. Or right, depending on how you look at it. Oops. Oh, that's it. So anyways, he has to deal with this cat, but he realizes that the cat's been through something, and he doesn't want to just beat this cat down. So he tries to maybe see if he can reason with the cat. Is it an intelligent cat? Is it not? So he reaches for the cat in compassion, but taking precautions. With his other hand, he reaches into his belt and gets what it says there. And so he reaches to see if he'll be kind, and the cat is not kind. Chomps his hand. But in his other hand, he has this, and he pops it into the cat's nose. Makes a little pop noise. And then the cat takes action. This is kind of fun for me to watch this. When I did this sequence, I was digging it, because he gets hit by the cat right here, but he's got the claw of the cat in his hand, and then he snaps the claw. The cat screams out, and you could see the foam that's in his nose from this thing. It goes through the words. I thought that was clever. And then Titan's on the ground, and he's got the little claw in his hand. He's going to use it as a weapon. And then the cat goes in for the kill, chomps Titan. You can see his tail right there hanging out. But then Titan uses the claw to kind of just stab him all a bunch of times inside his mouth, which is pretty horrific, I guess. But the cat spits him out and then runs off. And he's tempted to go after the cat and, like, kill the cat. So he's resisting his own nature is to strike out and kill him, but then he realizes that that's not what he's here for. There's been too much death in his life, too much loss of life, and so he drops the claw, and he realizes that he's wrong, and he needs to be compassionate towards cats. And then he starts to have he gets triggered or something, and he starts having post-traumatic stress, and then he collapses down here. His name, so someone's calling his name Titan. This is a double splash, so it goes over to here, and it's Elva. So what I was trying to do in this one, it's hard doing double page splashes, is I was having like Elva, she's giant in his mind, and then he's small, and so she's reaching for him there. That was the idea. And she's explaining some things to him, and that like it's going to be okay type stuff, talking him down. But it's all in his head. So then he hears his name, Titan, 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 and it turns out it's Asher calling out to him, like, "Can you hear me? What's going on? You're freaking out." And he's yelling for him, "Titan, come on!" Then Titan finally comes to, and he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go take care of business." Asher reveals that there's blood samples or something like that, and then Titan's like, "Oh, I gotta deal with that because they're gonna use his blood to do horrific things to other animals." So he jumps up on the counter there, and here's like a safe that keeps the blood at a right temperature and all that. So it has a security, strong security, and he thinks he can take a crack at it. And so he just rips the door open. Kakoosh. Right there. And you can read all the... If you get the book, you can read it. Anyways, he sees a M1-4, T1-1. He's like, M, like T is like Titan 1-1. M, what's M? And he's like, Asher saying M14 is the blood from another. And he's like, another? Where? Like there's another mouse. And he's like, over there. Go check it out. So Titan's going to go see what's going on. So he thought it was only Titan's blood. Turns out they have the blood of another. And so he goes over to this chamber that's, housing this character inside. And then I think he puts his hand on to open the door. Doesn't work. There's Asher in his cage down at the bottom. It's a fun page. It was a lot of fun to do. So it doesn't work, so he smashes it. Pulls the wires, hot wires it, and opens up that chamber. With steam hisses and all that kind of fun jazz. Fun jazz. If you guys are interested in this, getting the whole story, it is available on my Indiegogo campaign. There's also books available, I think, in the bin here on Whatnot. But if you want to get it on the campaign, you can do that too. It's Titan also my issue number 10. So then this thing comes flying out of this chamber and just starts wailing on Titan ballistically. And so this was I really loved this sequence. I thought it was cool battle sequence. Just like bam, 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 bam. And so here's Asher over here. And here comes this creature. So this is M1. Is it 4? Was that what it was? Yeah, M14 blood sample guy. And that'll be revealed who it is soon enough. So anyways, Titan takes him by the throat, reaches in his back pocket or back pouch thing, gets some tablets and he has what the compound is there, and he's about to shove them in his throat, but then the other guy knocks it out of his hand, and then just proceeds to Hulk. Remember what Hulk did to Loki? Bam, bam, and throws him into a wall. Love that panel. Love that panel. Love this whole page. This is good. And then Titan's all, okay, here we go. Standoff. Next issue. So that's issue number 2, which takes us into issue number 3, or chapter number 3. And it's gonna get jiggy. So any questions before I proceed? here we go. So chapter 3 of Titan. So here's, this was just a page that I did, a drawing that I did. I really liked it, and so I threw it in here as the opening. The might of evil must fall before Titan, and then it does that same little thing. This was the artwork that I used for the artist edition, which is a larger format for people who like to see the art. And so it's stripped of all the lettering, unless the lettering was hand done, like if I did it by hand, then it would be here. So we also start this with a prologue, and so this is before, or this is right after the explosion. So these people, these men, are at ground zero, and this says it was 6 months ago, and they have hazmat, maybe radiation proof. So anyways, they find a breathing specimen, and it's Titan. And they contact Professor. Oh, that's a typo. That I put that in there for just a holding space, but it's Professor Nimoy. Anyways, they're talking to him, and they're saying, so on the desk here, they're saying that the specimen can speak. He's intelligent. It's a mouse. He's like, what? So anyways, on the desk here, it has like newspapers and stuff like that, and it says search for missing boy continues. That missing boy is this boy. And so it weaves into Packen's land. And so this house right here is the house that's in Packen's land. Let's see if I can find it real quick. I think I can. Maybe I can't. Where is that? Okay, here it is. Okay, so there's the house, and there's the house there. Same house. So this professor is in this house, but that wasn't him, and it's a different person. Anyways, there's a lot that's happened. So he's talking about, or he's looking at a newspaper with this is his daughter. She went missing too, and it says a woman lost in cave-in. Can't really read it too well, but that's what it is. Local woman lost in cave-in, and that local woman is his daughter. So he's looking for a portal to get to Packen's land, but he also has taken the wrong turn in life. So he's trying to find his daughter. He has good intentions that way, but he's made some bad decisions along the way. So anyways, now we're back to where we left off with issue number 2, where he's in the middle of a battle. So this is Abomination. That's what this character's name is. He throws a keyboard at him, and Titan shreds it. I think it's a maybe it's not. Maybe it's a CPU. There's a part where he hits him with a keyboard, and then I spelled out with the letters of the keyboard like crash or something like that. I thought it was funny. So things like that in the artist edition, like I hand lettered that. Obviously, you can tell. But so those would be in the artist edition still. And so here's a double splash of Abomination fighting. Man, it's hard to see. Okay, so there he is, taking a swing at Titan. It's really difficult doing the double splashes. And I as the book goes on, I start getting to a place where I'm not going to do those anymore. These are some pretty strong pages, though. I like this page. So he like pops him, kicks him, and he goes in to finally finish him off. And then the creature says, Malcolm. And so remember the blood sample? M14. M stands for Malcolm. I'm giving it away. You guys could have figured that out. You didn't need my help. Let me know if there's any questions. That's all a collect. Wait. That's all I collect now are indie black and white books. Oh, have you gotten mine? It's because it's waiting for you. All right, so here's now he when he heard him say Malcolm, it kind of sent him into a tailspin. He's like, no, there's, no. So kind of just playing with some words and some graphics. If you want to check it out, I mean, you're checking it out right here, but issue number 10 is now funding on Indiegogo. You can get all of this as well in the show notes on Whatnot. There's a little show note button. Click that at the top. There's a link. Or you could just go to Indiegogo and type Titan Mouse and Might. That might work too. So anyways, now Titan's kind of going into his PTSD, and all these hands are reaching for him, and the abomination's doing that, and he's freaking out, and they're smothering him. He's going under, and then he's kind of submerged into this darkness, and then he's lost. So he's like, I'm done. It's too much for me to handle. But then there's hope. Something reaches for him and plucks him out. And it's Elva. And she basically talks some sense into him, flicks him back into reality. And he goes crashing. This is just I'm just trying to find new ways to do things. So he's like crashing through panels. That's what that's supposed to be like. That's a panel. He's crashing through them, and then he lands, and then he's like, Malcolm, please. So he realizes it's Malcolm, his friend, but he's unresponsive, and he throws Titan into the cage of Asher, bends it in the process, and Asher's able to get free. Titan's still recovering from his PTSD, and he's covering up, and the shadow comes over him and Asher, and they're being caught by Professor Nimoy, and Abomination's on his sleeve, and they're going to put him in an oxygen reducing isolation thing. So he slams this down on Titan. Asher gets away. It's hard to see him right there, but he looks like one of the letters. But Asher popped out in time, so it's just Titan who got caught. And then he's seeing through the glass that the professor's putting him back in that chamber that Titan broke him out of. I guess it's where he sleeps. Maybe he recovers. I don't know what he does. So he's whispering to Asher, like, you got to get out of here. And he's like, no, I'm not going to leave you. And he's like, you've got to, mister. And then he says, stay hidden. He said, okay, I'll stay hidden. So then Titan's losing oxygen. So he's kind of fading out here because this chamber is reducing that oxygen, and it's probably the professor only put enough in to keep him alive, but if he starts talking or exerting himself, he's going to pass out. So that's what's happening. He's starting to collapse right there. And then the professor goes into his monologue about why he does what he does and all this stuff, but he's kind of a mad scientist. And then he talks about what he did to Titan, and that it saved his life, but it was sort of like mad scientist kind of stuff. And they made Titan what he is today, type thing, injecting him and rebuilding him and all that stuff. And then this is the abomination. So Titan brings up, what about that? That's not good, what you did to him. But he tries to rationalize it, and you can read all about that. And so he's got Titan now in this chamber, like he's got him caught. It's like, now we're going to do more experiments on you. And then it shows down here the professor looking at a photograph of his daughter. And she got married to a guy. The guy she got married to is this guy right here in Pakistan. But they both went missing. They both got lost in a cave-in. And so he's trying to find her. That's her. She got married, got lost in a cave-in, and that's her getting lost in a cave-in. That's like 2 pages. So the professor talked with the guy. His name is Andrew Packins. And he's like, where's my daughter? What happened? And he tried to explain. Then, this boy, which is this boy, came on the property, and he also got lost in the cave that she was lost in. Anyways, in that cave is a portal to another world. That's how Titan is getting there. That's how Paul and the daughter, they got through this portal. But it's not always there. So the professor's trying to find a way. But he's using any means possible, and he doesn't care who he hurts along the way. And Titan's like, you gotta stop, man. So Titan musters his strength, but he's like, you don't got enough. There's not enough oxygen in there for you to punch through this. It's a certain kind of glass that he's in, but Titan doesn't hit the glass. He hits the bottom. Baboosh. And crash. I really liked that panel. It's pretty cool. Anyway, so he frees himself, and he's now going at the professor. The professor has some sort of a tranquilizer gun or something. Probably should have used that to begin with. Oh, but he wasn't there, I guess. Abomination was there. So he goes, pow. Titan punches him. He sees stars. And then Titan's about to go in and finish off the professor. But the professor hits a keyboard. Well, it must have been in the next volume where he smashes the keyboard. Anyways, he jumps at him, and he's like, wait, no. He's like, what are you doing? He's all, it's a video. Just push a button and play the video, and you'll know what I'm talking about. So Titan's like, all right, fine, I'll play the video. And then it's Elva, and she's alive. And she's being kept alive in some sort of a tank or something, but this is a video of that. And then it's to be continued. So that's Deluxe Edition Volume 1. Then there's all this supplementary material back here, and I can show you some of that. So it goes in, it shows, like here's the Book of Secrets, kind of talks about that kind of stuff, about how Titan started with Packins Land. Here's some of the first preliminary drawings that I did. 2019 looks like the date on these. And so I guess this was how it started. Justice has a name, and you're looking at it. In this world where hope is little, and only a spark of truth remains, an avenger must rise from the smallest of places. The might of evil must fall before Titan. And so on this one, I made his logo Titan, and I put a city in the words, but then eventually it became this, where that looks better. And then these are some preliminary drawings that I did, like not just sketch-wise. But you can see here that like we have that pose, it's down here, like that. We have him jumping, it's right there. Have him running right there. So it's got a lot of it. And then it basically just goes page by page. Like here's the roughs, and here's the finish, roughs, finish. And we go through the book that way. And so you could see some of them, I guess I don't have the roughs for it. Like it was, like I just did one page, I think. And then from that one page, I broke it up, maybe. Well, maybe not. This is all one page. Oh no, it did. It's 2 pages. Anyway, so that's what this is, and we go through virtually the whole book, and you can see the rough drawings versus the final. Here's the rough, here's the final. It's kind of fun to do. So yeah, that's that, and we go through the whole 3 issues that way. So it's kind of fun to see how it started. Like there's the idea that I had, and then a close-up. You can't really see it, but it's just a close-up of that. But I took this idea, I did it there, and then I did the close-up there, and then I added this as well, so it's even better. And then here's that panel, like, what happened to my daughter type thing, and then this was the final. So it's kind of fun. Here's some stuff that never even got used. We got dark flyers in here. Here's him going into that blood safe, the one he ripped open. So, and here's a gallery of just pieces of artwork that I did for Titan. We won't go through all of that, but anyways, there's a bunch of stuff in here. We have, like, there's a lot of pages here. I'm not going to go through all of it. Then we had like an art, fan art thing as well, and we printed those in here. That was fun. So quite a few. That's a Matt Weldon did that one. And then we have a question and answer kind of a thing at the back. And yeah, so that is volume 1 of Titan. Maybe we'll stop there, because I have a volume 2 and a volume 3 that we could do, but I think that's a good place to stop. You get to see the first 3 issues of Titan. I would appreciate it if you go check out Titan Mouse of Might on Indiegogo and share it out with your friends and stuff like that. This is what I do for a living. This is how I, keep the lights on and things like that. So I do appreciate all of your guys' support and your help, sharing these things out with people. I enjoy sharing it with you. I hope you guys enjoy it as well. And we'll come back again, maybe go through volume 2 and then volume 3. And if anybody has any questions, we'll answer them. I don't see any questions right now. Let's take a look. Nope, I don't see anything on Whatnot. And I don't see anything. So yeah, that was it. All right, everybody. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time. Peace.